Hello Booktube, I'm Scott.
I'm Nat.
We are Gunpowder Fiction and Plot, and this is another tag video. We are bulk filming, so I am still drinking my coffee, even though it's probably going up on a different day.
I hope this one goes up first.
It's still terrible. I hope it goes up first. Yes, I do. This is the New York Times by the book tag. So we were tagged by Heidi at My Reading Life, and the original tag was by Marie Berg.
Okay.
What book is on your nightstand right now?
About 10 of them.
Yeah, you've actually run out of space on your nightstand.
Yeah.
It's lucky that your nightstand is rested between the bed head and the wall, because the lamp, which we've learned is not quite a metre tall, the lamp would literally fall off whenever you returned a book.
Yeah.
I'm currently reading Hamnet, and I have a bunch of other books. I have The Nickel Boy, I have Assembly, but I'm not actually reading those books. They are there in case I don't read Hamnet.
Yeah.
I like to have, I'll often read more than one book, but if I've got, say, 3 books on the go, I'll have at least 6 books on my stand. That's what I do. A book moves from the bookshelf to my bookstand before it gets read. It has to have 2 selections before it gets read.
Yeah, I feel like this is my TBR, but that's my currently reading / most likely to be read next.
Yeah, except...
Which is why it gets enormous, because I'm a mood reader, and every now and then I'm like, don't want anything on the nightstand, and then I go and get another book for my TBR.
Yeah, more often than not, there's definitely a bypassing of the stand going on, which is a problem, because then I feel like the stand books get, and it doesn't matter. This is a long story.
It bothers him that my system is broken.
No, it bothers me that I'm copying your system, even though it's clearly broken.
What's next?
What is the last truly great book you've read? I mean, the definition of truly great is hard. Do we go 5 stars? Do we go even higher?
No, I think that this is higher than 5 stars. Like, for me, 5 stars is anything that's a good book. Like, I think truly great books are truly rare. I think I've read 3 that would be contesting for that category this year.
This year?
Yeah.
What are your 3 that are contesting for that category this year?
The Death of Vivek Oji.
Yep.
Daryl.
Yep.
And No One Is Talking About This.
By Patricia Lockwood.
Yeah.
They're 3 very good books, I must confess. But for me, 4 stars is a good book. 5 stars is better than that.
Yeah. I get what you're saying, but I feel like a great book is a rare thing.
Yeah. So, in my head, and I don't do this often, I have 6 and 7 star books.
Yeah.
And the last book I read that I would put in that category is A Fine Balance by Overrated Mystery. I just feel like we should tell people about these books instead of just like name dropping them and moving on, shouldn't we?
No, let's carry on.
Let's move on. You don't need to know it. You can Google them. That's what that's for.
You can look in our bloody past videos. We're probably I've certainly talked about those books.
Yeah, but some people just watch our tags. You're not encouraging that sort of madness.
No, go watch more of our videos. They're awesome.
She has a point. If you could meet any writer, dead or alive, who would it be and what would you want to know? Alright, you know what my answer is, don't you?
No?
Don't you? You're not going to be surprised.
Just tell me the answer.
It's Voltaire.
Oh, it's Voltaire.
Yeah, so you're not surprised, are you?
No.
I've said it before on this channel, but I often think that a good measure of whether we're going to be friends is, have you heard of Voltaire? Does Voltaire mean anything to you other than just a name? Because he's funny, he writes, and he was part of, politics.
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 He's part of politics. You fucking knob.
If we ever get large enough to have a merch store, Voltaire does politics.
Excellent t-shirt.
Excellent.
I find this really hard.
Oh, by the way, I wouldn't want to know anything. I'd just like to go entertain me.
Dance, monkey, dance.
Just look, Voltaire. This is the society we live in. Make observations. Who would you want to...
I think this is really hard. Have dinner with.
Yeah, it's just dinner. If you get it wrong, it's not a big deal.
It's just one shitty dinner.
Yeah. Can I suggest, because you said it was one of the last great books, that you would enjoy hanging out with Patricia Lockwood? She's funny.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Also, you could make it like a dinner party now. You could invite Quakey Maisie along and Margaret Atwood.
Yeah, all ladies, no dudes.
All ladies, no dudes.
Ladies or non-dudes. Because then we can have a Quakey Maisie.
What book might we be surprised to find on your shelves?
I'm pretty sure there's a Bible somewhere in this house.
No.
Did we throw it out?
I don't know what we did to it. I don't remember getting rid of it, but I do know we don't own a Bible. This is something that I think people will be surprised to find on my shelf. Not because me reading Alexander Dumas' George would be particularly my, that's not unusual. I really like Alexander Dumas. Excellent, excellent writer. The reason I think you might find it interesting is because...
It's in France.
Je n'aime qu'un conte le français, parlez-vous l'anglais.
I don't think there's anything particularly surprising in our bookshelves. I think that we read quite diversely, and that is represented. It's probably got a higher proportion of fantasy than you would expect, because we both read fantasy more heavily than you would expect years ago.
Yeah, fantasy is definitely something that I read a lot of in my past that I don't.
Yeah, like epic sort of multi-book series fantasy, that sort of deal. Mum bought me Bono's biography.
Yeah, but we gave it to a mini library.
Yeah.
How do you organise your personal library?
Don't. I mean, we pretend to. There's like the to-be-read stuff and the we've already read it stuff. But you can see just by looking behind me that like the nice, neat things, they get unstacked and...
We're very bad at putting them back where they came from. I do keep my books in my read and unread piles.
Mine is vaguely like that. I like to have a shelf that sort of represents what I've read for the current year, but that has not happened this year.
Yeah, and as we've mentioned before, we have the bedside table system that is functional.
Yeah.
What book have you always meant to read and haven't got around to? Anything you feel embarrassed never to have read?
No. I don't believe in feeling embarrassed because I haven't gotten to a book yet, because I will have read something else instead. It's not like I'm some kind of non-reading illiterate lump and I haven't read any books. I just didn't read that book. So there's no embarrassment at all. And I want to read all the books on my TBR and many, many more, but nothing in particular.
Why do I keep drinking it?
You don't like it. Stop it.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, the book on my TBR that I am most eager to get to, that isn't like new release, that is like caught my attention.
Yeah.
That's Vikram Seth's The Suitable Boy.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm keen to get to that too, but also many others.
Yeah. I would almost wonder, and now I haven't actually brought this idea up with you.
Oh, it sounds like it's going to be terrible. Yep.
But I almost wonder if there would be a group of people who would like to do a Voxer chat and read A Suitable Boy together. Maybe at the start of 2022.
It's like a year-long project?
Oh, well, it was 3 months, 6 months. It's a huge book.
However long it takes.
Yeah. I wouldn't probably try and make it go a year, but
let's see who thinks that's a good idea.
If we get 6 people in the comments, I will do it without Nell. Or with Nell, depending on what she wants. Disappointing, overrated, just not good. What book did you feel you were supposed to like but didn't? Do you remember the last book you put down without finishing?
The last book I DNF'd was The Prophets. And I think the last book that I really feel like I was supposed to like but didn't was The Second Play.
The last book I DNF'd... Well, I mean, I had to look it up, so yeah. It doesn't count. But it was only at the start of August, and it was The Magnus by John Fowles.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even that long ago. Bad books go into the head, go out of the head, and they stop taking up space.
Yeah, I don't hang on to
Truly bad books burn their way into your psyche and make you want to hurt them.
Yeah, like The Wasp Factory.
What did you feel you were supposed to like but didn't? I feel like that all the time, actually. I feel like literary fiction is the genre of disappointment. My favourite books are literary fiction.
Yeah, but also
my least favourite books are literary fiction.
It's a much more risky genre than if you say like historical fiction or romance.
Yeah,
because it's like the anti-formula.
Yeah, because we read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and we complained about it at the start, but basically
it was fine.
That book was always going to be average.
I mean, it was fine. It was, fine.
Yeah. What kind of stories are you drawn to? Any you stay clear of?
What kind of stories are you drawn to, Scott? Miserable ones?
Yeah. That's what I like.
Really?
Is there anything other than miserable stories that I am drawn to, is the question.
I like stuff that has a bit of unreality, whether that's magicalness or spiritualness or just excessive symbolism. Do you know what I mean? I like it to not be necessarily 100% realism 100% of the time.
Doctor Who.
Yeah. Legendary. I like non-male characters centered. I like things that make me think, and give me discussion for talk people.
The non-male centred is an interesting one. If I'm reading literary fiction, then I think I would, in general, agree with you. There are exceptions to this. I think that Damon Galbot's The Promise is a good example of a male character being centred that was a good book, for example.
Yes, I don't think I'm saying that any of these things are requirements for good.
Oh, okay, yeah. But for something like, for example, P.G. Wodehouse really mostly centres men in an attempt to mock them.
I mean, I think it's quite successful in its mockery.
Yes.
Yeah.
That Wodehouse is the top of the mocking list.
Yeah.
I have this thing where I am attracted to books that I avoid. There is this certain type of tacky, horrible in a book. You know, it just sounds like you know it's going to be bad, but that little part in your head goes, that could be amazing. The book that I read recently where all the men caught a virus and died. The book where all the men died from a virus. Now that, I thought that had promise, but I was really worried that it was going to be exactly the book that it was.
Yeah.
Right? And therefore I am both drawn to those sort of books and avoid them, depending on the mood I'm in.
Yeah.
If you could require the president to read one book, what would it be?
Can we just make Donald Trump read all his own books on repeat?
I don't want to rub it in now. Donald Trump's not the president anymore.
I know, but I was just like, it doesn't even matter. That's what I want to do.
You want to make Donald Trump read The Art of the Deal on repeat?
He's totally written more than one book, but yes, I feel like he should be forced to consume his own bullshit for the rest of his life as a form of torture.
I object to what you said, because there is no way Donald Trump has written a book. He's just got his name on it.
Yeah, okay.
I think the idea that a 70-year-old white man who has had the same political ideas for 50 years is going to read Our Bodies, Their Battlefield by Christina Lamb and suddenly change their mind is probably a bit naive, but that is the book I would pick.
For either Biden or ScoMo.
Oh, just any of them. I mean, ScoMo's just a scumbag psychopath who needs to read How to Eat Cyanide and Die or something like that. Like, I'm just like, he is just not a good human being and he's a murderer.
Yeah.
And so I don't... Wherewith my knowledge of Biden is really limited. I don't know whether he's committed any war crimes or not.
You don't know how murdery his tally is.
Yeah, that's exactly... I have no judgment of Biden yet. But I do know that ScoMo is directly responsible for the death of thousands of people. Yeah, I have no hope. Anyway.
And that's why I would make him read The Crying of Lot 49, because it's a fucking horrible book.
Can I say I have one problem with that? The Crying of Lot 49 is actually a relatively short book.
On repeat then.
On repeat.
Yeah, like Clockwork Orange style, with your eyes clamped open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We have very positive opinions of
politicians in general.
Politicians. What did I say?
It cannot be repeated.
No, it cannot. What do you plan on reading next?
Natasha Pulley's The Kingdoms.
Natasha Brown, Assembly.
There you go.
We've got a Natasha each. How many people are reading a Natasha right now? Well, that is the end of the tag. Now, we haven't tagged anybody. This is quite an old tag. I've just... Rosie Cockshot, that's a good one. Anybody you want to tag now?
Elle, if she hasn't done it.
And Kevy.
Awesome.
Rosie, Elle, and Kevy. Dream team.
Okay, love you. Bye.
Bye.